Very good morning to you. If you're just joining us, let's bring you this story. Getting reaction to Finance Minister Tito Mboweni's mini-budget. We're joined by the SACP's Central Committe member, Buti Manamela, who joins us from our Cape Town studios. Mr. Manamela, thank you very much for your time. So the biggest risk to this economy is Eskom. The financial support that will be rendered to that power utility will no longer be considered as spending money, but loans. How will this work in practice if Eskom is operating at a loss?
Well, look, I think what we think as the SACP is that something obviously needs to be done. The arrangements thereof between government and Eskom, remains a discussion into the future. But I think what is important, which we have emphatically stated, is that Eskom and all other state-owned enterprises need to remain within, the ownership of the state. Secondly, that privatizing these entities will not help because, as we have said in the past, the crisis of the state-owned enterprises, and as this is unraveling itself, as we've seen in the State Capture Commission, as we've seen in many, evident submissions that have been made into inquiries around state-owned enterprises, that the rot is essentially in the management and the way in which things have been run, and that we cannot, derail the developmental nature which, state-owned enterprises have been playing by putting those into private hands. So
Mr.
we
welcome,
and we're quite excited that, that announcement came just at the back of the announcement made by, the Minister of Public Enterprise. And we're hoping that, with all of this that have been announced, it will be able to help to put, Eskom back on track.
I'm hoping to touch on that unbundling announcement that was made by the Public Enterprise Minister on Tuesday in a moment. But talk to us about this alternative funding for Eskom that you speak about as the SACP. Where is this alternative funding for Eskom going to come from for this utility to remain in full control of the government?
Well, there's clearly been wastage, within the state-owned enterprise, in particular within Eskom. We've had of, ridiculous amounts being paid for, for coal. Firstly, we've seen how a lot of wastage has gone into the, the construction of, of power station. We've heard about how the Eskom wage bill has unnecessarily been, expanded. And we think that those are some of the wastages that needs to be, looked at if we really are prepared to turn the ship around.
Mr. Manamela, talk to us then about whether the SACP supports the unbundling process that is going to be followed after that announcement by Pravin Gordhan on Tuesday. Do you support that particular process as the SACP?
Look, we have been very clear as the party that of course something needs to be done, and anything and everything that's short of privatization, we are willing to look at it positively. And, as we said about a day or two or so, that we will be looking at the details that were announced by the Minister of Public Enterprise. What, we believe, needs to be done from now onward. We think that we need to be having proper management of Eskom. We need competent people to be running the place. We have seen how, in some instances, some people who are in the leadership of Eskom have appeared to be clueless about what seems to be, the history of the problem and what needs to be done into the future. And we're quite excited that the Minister of Public Enterprise had indicated that part of what will be done is put in a new team for the different, components of Eskom. But I'm quite confident that coming out of our Congress in December, we will make it clear as to what our position is with regards to what is happening now at Eskom.
Mr. Manamela, very quickly for me, I need to wrap this conversation. The national debt is expected to skyrocket upwards of 70% to the GDP. That's about 4 trillion rand, as the minister said yesterday. What's your proposal on cutting down the government salary bill?
Look, there are a whole range of interventions which the minister have announced as it relates to the national debt. But I think what is crucial is that it's not that we have a national debt. And I think that we really shouldn't be problematizing the question of the national debt to the extent that we have. But what is it that we do with regards to, that particular debt? Yes, we need to look into, the national wage bill. It's a cause for concern, and especially
a massive one at that. Can I just add that it's a massive one at that, because people like yourself who are deputy ministers, you've often been questioned as to what is the role of a deputy minister. That's what you are, by the way, in your other role in government.
Well, I mean, I think that's for the president to respond, because the president appoints ministers and deputy ministers. But I think the point is that we have to look at the salaries of government at an op, but also look at the kind of wastage that accompanies not only employees of government or public servants, but we also have to look at some of the other things that are being done, which exacerbates the national cost in general. Over the years, the wage, particularly of the low-earning workers, has been on the decline. And I think that we need to be careful that we shouldn't perpetuate the myth that both in the private and public sector, low-end wages have been in the increase, and those should not be the people that we target. And as the party, we will go all out in protecting those particular individuals.
Buti Manamela, thank you very much for your time. He is the SACP's Central Committee member. Well.